start off by thanking Dr. Fassan and the LLS for honoring me. The honor is extremely humbling. My name is Terry. I'm a 44-year-old single mom to this handsome, sweet, loving, kind, strong little boy, Chase, next to me. This little guy is my fight. He is my will. He's my hero. My story actually begins about a year before I was diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia. In January of 2017, I had to have my hip replaced and was out of work for 6 weeks. While I was out of work, I was on the computer a lot, and a reminder kept popping up that I needed to have my mammogram scheduled. I said to myself, I better go get this done before I go back to work. I scheduled the appointment. They took me in on Thursday. I returned to work that Monday and received a call from the radiologist saying that I needed to come back for more testing. I went back that week for an ultrasound and a biopsy, and then to meet with a nurse navigator. After that, I knew something was wrong. My husband and I went in at the end of the week, and they informed me that I had stage 2 breast cancer. The first thing that came out of my mouth was, "What about my baby? I need to be here for my baby." The nurse navigator assured me that I would beat this and I would be around for Chase for a long, long time. The news was still devastating. How was I going to tell Chase? Was I going to be sick? I was going to lose my hair. What about my job? I watched my husband's mother die in his arms from cancer just a few years before, and cancer had always been my biggest fear. I was then referred to Dr. Brownlee at Novant, who was the most caring, loving doctor I have ever met. The ball started rolling quickly, and before I knew it, I was starting chemo. The first day I started chemo, my husband and I walked in the door, and I just lost it. I had never had an anxiety attack before, but I had one in that moment, and it was terrifying. I just could not believe that I was getting treated for cancer. After chemo, I had a lumpectomy, followed by 33 treatments of radiation. I worked through all of my treatments, and my bosses did everything they could do to help me. By the middle of December of last year, I was cancer-free. I was beyond ecstatic. My hair was growing back, I felt good, and I thought I was done. 2018 was my year. Well, I could not have been more wrong about that. 1st of January, my husband moved out, and I was now a single mom. Then one night in early February, I went to change my clothes, and I noticed my left leg was just covered in bruises. And I was shocked. I'd never seen anything like it before, and I felt fine. But I went to the emergency room in Matthews right away. And after that, I do not remember the next 5 weeks of my life. I was diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia, an extremely rare side effect from the breast cancer treatment. I believe the doctors were shocked as well. Typically, if someone does get leukemia, it's not usually for several years after the treatment. I was a rare case. I was immediately transferred to downtown Novant, where the brilliant Dr. Fassan took me on as his patient. I only know what the doctors have told me and what my friends and family have told me. I was very, very sick. I was so sick that my friends and family from New York came to see me thinking it would be the last time that they would ever see me. Everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. I had DIC, which is a condition in which the affected person's body blood has difficulty in clotting, thus leading to excessive bleeding. Sometimes it can cause organ failure, even death. I had colitis, pneumonia, heart failure. I was so sick that I do remember praying to God to just take me. Then I looked up and saw a picture of my son Chase, and I said to myself, I can't go anywhere. I must be here for him. That was actually the only time I prayed. I was so angry at the Lord that I could not talk to him. I have no doubt that my will as a mother and the help of Dr. Fassan and his assistant Jenny Parks, who's amazing, they saved my life. Dr. Fassan has told me several times that I'm lucky to be here. After the 5 weeks, it was time for me to go home. I was afraid to go home. I felt safe in the hospital with Dr. Fassan and Jenny watching over me. But I also knew I had a little boy that needed me and missed his mommy. My poor little boy had to watch his mommy go through this not just once, but twice. The first few days were rough. I cried and cried and asked why me. I was so angry with God. And then after talking with friends and family, I finally realized that I had to get up and fight. I had to fight for my life and put all my worries into God's hands and trust that He was going to make it right. We simply don't know how many days we have, so I have chosen to live each day as it may be my last. Dr. Fassan then informed me that I had to have a bone marrow transplant in order for long-term survival. I then made the decision about having the treatment. I had to make a decision about having the treatment at Duke or at Levine. I made the decision based on not wanting to just disrupt Chase's life anymore and chose Levine. I was then given another brilliant, sweet, kind doctor, Dr. Reagan. I know she's here somewhere. Who is currently doing everything she can to save my life. When I first met her, she said she would have to present my case to the board because they usually wouldn't give transplants to people who just finished treatment from another cancer. She promised she would fight for me, and she did. And I got approved for the transplant. We immediately started the donor process, and my brother was only a 50% match. We then went to the donor registry and found a young man from Europe who was 100% match. 100% match. I couldn't believe it. He didn't know me and was willing to do what he could do to save my life. Then the testing began, the EKGs, the MRIs, the CT scans. I was at the hospital just about every day, test after tests. Then after the test, they discovered I had a fungus in my lungs, so my transplant was postponed. Since it was postponed for another month, I had to have more chemo to bridge me over until my new transplant date. I had to have several blood transfusions, platelet transfusions. I finally had my transplant on June 19th. It's been just about 100 days. And everything so far is going well. I did have C. diff. I had a mild case of graft versus host disease in my stomach. And I have a CMV infection now that I'm fighting. I had my bone marrow test earlier this week, so we are praying for good results. Yeah. Statistics say I still only have a 50% chance of being here in 5 years, but I will be that 50%.
Yes!
I know I have a long way to go, but I have got this. I've got an amazing group of doctors from both Levine and Novant who are all working together and fighting for me. I have a mother's will and faith in the Lord that I will be cured. I would not be standing here without the support of my amazing friends and family.
Love you, Terry.
Chase and I have what we call our tribe. They have not let us out of our sight for a moment. They visit, they cook, they shop, they listen, they take taste to do fun things. They've had a fundraiser, they've had a GoFundMe account. To our tribe, we love you. And to Dr. Fassan and Dr. Reagan, thank you. Thank you for saving my life. Thank you for, I know that we have a long fight ahead of us, and I know that you are both going to be by my side fighting for me. You have both worked together along with Dr. Brownlee to make sure that I have had the best care at both Novant and Levine. The care that I have received from both has been impeccable. From the transplant nurses to all the doctors, everybody has just been amazing. You have no idea how much you all mean to me. Leukemia can take it all from you, especially your soul. I keep asking myself, why God, why me? Maybe this is why. To stand up here, raise awareness, encourage everyone to please register and be the match. Donate blood, donate platelets. Please support the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society as they advocate for life-saving treatments and as an organization that is moving mountains to give people a second chance at life like me. Register for Light Up the Night on November 10th here in Charlotte. You can save someone's life like me, a young mother who wants nothing more than just to be here for her son. Thank you.
Terry, what an amazing story. Can we give Chase a big round of applause too?